laughing this whole time again?
Probably because Anthony's a fucking retard. At least we don't have grapes.
There is that. There is that one.
And my drink's crooked.
Why is it crooked? Yeah. Okay. So like I said, I just kind of put these notes together. So everything that was highlighted was what was written down.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. But it's some cool stuff. Cool stuff. So I don't even know what trigger warnings and stuff we have because it's all really fascinating stuff though. Stuff we already know. We've tried to talk to you about.
Oh my
You don't
god.
fucking listen, so.
This one's really wrong.
No, so it's pretty interesting actually. So I'm super excited about this one. All right, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Headache.
Yeah, no, I'm starting to get hangry.
Trust me, we've noticed.
Yeah. Why didn't you eat something?
I'm not hungry.
Did you just hear yourself?
But you said
My
you were
stomach's
hungry.
hungry. I don't have an appetite.
So just force yourself to eat.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy.
It is. Just
No.
Plenty of food in the
Yeah,
fridge.
I don't have an appetite.
Okay, go like this. You got smeared stuff.
yeah, you got a little bit of bitch right here.
Oh my god, look at you. Look at that fucking douchebag. Can I get it?
Yeah, you're good. All right, are we ready? Okay. All right. Hi, I am Juana. I am the mom.
Are you gonna say smile whatever you
I
Hey,
will.
welcome to Smile
Yeah,
Brothers.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Hi.
Jesus Christ.
Hi, welcome to Smile Girl. Don't be nervous. I am Juana. I am the mom.
And I'm Esperanza. I'm the daughter.
And I am Anthony, the guest speaker.
Also the son, brother.
Also the son, brother. He is our guest speaker today for this pretty cool quote that we have going on today. But before we get into that, Nickelodeon. I know you guys are too young to know that. Little.
I'm gonna have to cut that out. I don't know if that's copyright or not.
Oh my god! Seriously.
We'll see. I'll have to look into that.
So, the only holidays that we have this week, ironically, weirdly, because normally we have like at least 2 or 3 or 4, we have the snow full moon, which is coming on the 24th. That is the only thing we've got
Which doesn't
going
make
on.
sense because we're about to hit spring.
Well, yeah, because the groundhog said no more winter.
Which I'm cool with.
Yeah, totally cool. I mean, we didn't have a good winter.
I'm fine with that.
Well, that means there's going to be more fires this year. So, because there's not going to be any moisture. And the stream on the mountain is going to be pretty low.
Yep.
So, pretty sad about that.
But like it's not cold.
Sad face.
So I'm fine.
All right. So remember to like, share, and hit the bell for notifications for when our episodes drop. Anthony has been really good about getting them to me on Wednesday, but I am so busy that by the time I get to watch them and upload them, it's normally Thursday. So
We're working on it.
we are working on it. We're working on a schedule. Mainly me just trying to get my shit together, honestly. So, for trigger warnings and advisories this episode, I'm not sure if I have any advisories or anything because we're going to be talking about emotions.
Yeah, it's just facts. I don't think there's anything.
Yeah. But if there's any, we will let you know.
You know, argue with science.
Yeah. Well, I mean, lots of people want to argue with science.
Religion.
That's usually the argument for science. All right, so our quote today is...
I don't even fucking believe you.
Our quote today is, "Indeed, but when you look deeper, you will see that that though chaos and love are both powerful and alluring, they are also as different as moonlight is from sunlight."
You want to try that again?
Sure.
Take 2.
One more time.
Indeed, but when you look deeper, you will see that though chaos and love are both powerful and alluring, they are also as different as moonlight is from sunlight. Do you agree with that? Or disagree? I think it's the other way around, Mama.
No.
Chaos is moonlight.
Yeah. Chaos Moonlight.
Oh, I thought you
Love
connected
sunlight.
them the other way.
No.
I thought you meant chaos, love. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Do you disagree?
I don't know.
I don't agree with the wording.
Yeah.
Not the wording. What do you mean?
So I'm just taking just from they are also as different as moonlight is from sunlight.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know, because you can't have one without the other, but you could have sunlight without a moon. You know what I mean? Like, or moonlight without a sunlight. You know what I mean?
So you think chaos and love can happen at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you? What is your definition of chaos?
Well, it's a very broad definition of it.
Okay.
I think it's very situational.
Okay. So can you give me a situation where love and chaos exist in the same?
Marriage.
Yeah, essentially. People are going to have different opinions. Through the different opinions can create chaos, but through love then becomes a discussion to where you could actually talk and then come together and meet in the middle.
Okay.
So that's happening at the same time. You know what I mean?
And sometimes that chaos overrides that love.
Divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck them kids.
It happens. Okay. Are you going to bring my pen again?
No.
Hey, don't break those. Those are gel.
Right, so the context for this quote is from Untamed, which is book 4 in the House of Night series, written by PC and Kristen Cast. In this particular quote, Nyx and Aphrodite and Zoe are having a discussion. So this goes with the same, I think, like past 5 episodes where they're still having this discussion with Nyx. She's appeared to them and is kind of explaining, like, this is what I need you to do. But, Zoe and Aphrodite are kind of panicking, and they're like, we need more answers in order to do all of these things that you need us to do. And Nyx is basically telling them, you have to find your own way. Each person has to find their own way in order to get things together and learn your own lessons. Okay, first of all...
As he turns his off.
I know.
Well, my phone's off.
I shut off my work phone for some reason. I forgot my personal phone. So that, you have to find your own way. You have to find your own lessons. You have to find your own path, right? So that is what Nyx is telling Zoe and Aphrodite, and this is one of the lessons that she is leaving Zoe and Aphrodite. This is the lesson that Nyx is leaving Aphrodite and Zoe. It's like, wait, names got mixed up. That's not what I meant.
Really?
Jesus, I swear. I told you I should have sat in the middle. Okay, so this particular article is from... Nice. I didn't even write down who this article is from. Wait. I think I have it. No, I don't. It's on the other page that I didn't print out.
We'll put it in the description.
We will put the link for the actual article and the authors in the description box. As always, please go read the studies yourself. There are lots of things that are covered in these studies that we do not talk about in the episodes because they cover kind of a lot. A scientific study is generally between 17 to up to 40, 50 pages. So there's lots of things that are covered in studies. So please go read them yourself so that you can come to your own conclusions.
Mind your business. Keep talking.
I was finished with my thought.
Great. Continue.
What are we talking about?
Nothing. I'm making fun of Anthony.
We're talking about the link in the description and we're talking about going to read the article and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yes. And we're going to put it in the description because Mom forgot to put it in the paper.
She did not hear
No, I heard that.
I'm telling Mom!
You fucking snitch. You always snitched out.
Okay, so going off of the article, so this particular article talks about how when you are in stressful situations that your memory doesn't recall things as accurately as you think they do. I tend to struggle with this when I'm going through different periods of my life. There are different periods of my life where time doesn't add up and I forget situations, I forget conversations that has been said. The kids have had to remind me, yeah, Mom, like, we talked about that. That was when we talked about, and they give me, like, the whole play-by-play of, like, the actual conversation. I'm like, yes.
Or she's like, I don't remember that, but okay.
Yeah.
You're still in trouble.
What? I literally told you what you said before. I don't give a fuck. Cool. Yeah, no, perfect.
Yeah, so it's kind of a 50-50 shot on what happens after that. After the conversation has been replayed.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a thing. Sorry. So the first point in this,
I will break your motherfucking pen.
Yo, that's my pet.
After she just told you not to break
Yeah.
it. So the first note from this article says current research in neuroscience and cognitive sciences indicate that emotions modulate a variety of cognitive processes, including perception, memory, attention, and reasoning. Tell me what I just said.
Process and reasoning.
Wow.
I already did this one, so.
You already did what one?
I already have notes on this one.
You already have notes.
Yep.
Okay, what are your notes?
So the cognitive processes, perception, memory, attention, and reasoning, fight or flight.
Bro, you just said what the fuck I said.
Firefly. What?
Go ahead, continue. I already did this one.
He doesn't even have any notes.
I already know this.
Yeah.
So how did she copy you if you don't even have any notes?
He said it out loud.
about it out loud
Oh!
because you were like process of like the, so essentially what happens is in those moments of chaos, your mind becomes very overwhelmed, emotional, adrenaline builds, and that's the form of blacking out. Is essentially you're so overwhelmed that the fight or flight kicks in, and your mind doesn't depend on your intellect. It just goes off of react. So that's why you can't really remember too much, and that's why it's just like, that's why people say, it was just a blur, because they're not thinking. It just react.
So when they recall those situations, do they recall what actually happened or what they think happened?
Essentially what they think happened based off of context.
Small pieces.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like what they can remember, and then
like-
they'll fill in the blanks.
They'll extrapolate it.
That, like, adrenaline rush.
Kind of
Again,
like deja
like
vu.
you said, like, they black out or they, like, whatever, or they don't remember. That's pretty cool. Like, after my accident, like, I don't know exactly what happened.
Right.
But after a while and lots of...
You're still trying to piece it together. Lots of conversations with a lot of different people.
Yeah, I have pieced together quite a bit, but not all of it. Like, there's still pieces that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony!
My pen! I can break this one if I want.
I don't give a fuck. Why are you clicking it?
This one's mine!
It's my fidget. Leave me alone.
Right.
Do a quiet fidget.
So the neuroscience approach has focused on a physiological manifestation of emotions, whereby emotions are defined as physiological or neuronal responses or sensations that inform the organization about desired or undesired situations. I think that went back to the conversation that we were having in Hibachi, where we were talking about, like, emotions are just a biological response. They're
It's a
not
chemical.
like, yeah, it's not like a thing. Like, love is like dopamine.
You're shaking the
Or is that
camera.
serotonin?
Listen, man, you told me to find another fidget.
Yes, a quiet, small fidget.
That is a quiet small fidget.
Yes.
You shaking the camera?
Can you, like, fuck off?
Jesus. Alright, so emotion-related signals represent changes in a person's visceral state, like heart rate, blood pressure, glandular secretions, that serve as somatic markers to indicate a person's emotional reaction to a situation.
Pat!
So
That's
you're
the fight or
fainting.
flight,
Yeah, that's the fight or flight, or like the excessive sweating when people are nervous, or adrenaline. Yeah, the stuttering. People get Zoe in the House of Night. She gets the nervous parts.
Oh no.
Yeah, so she gets an upset tummy, like all of these things, and that's all like this physiological response. So, cognitive perspective, emotions are understood as the more familiar subjective experience of feelings or moods, such as feeling anxious, happy, or frustrated, and they form an integral part of cognitive function.
Those form in the amygdala.
Yes, and that goes later. It says earlier perspective viewed emotions as part of the limbic system, a discrete network of primitive, less evolved structures in the brain located between the neocortex, which is the seat of the cognitive and learning functions, and the brainstem, which is responsible for the basic life maintenance such as breathing and blood pressure. The more evolved part of the brain, the neocortex, was seen as responsible for the cognitive functions that distinguish humans from non-human animals that do reasoning, decision-making, anticipation, and planning. And what were you saying?
That the brainstem essentially wires down, so there's a process with that. So it'll go to it's so hard to explain.
We'll put pictures up.
In a simple thing.
Because I need pictures when talking about the brain stuff, because it's so complicated.
So essentially you have the brainstem, right, and that connects down
It's at
to
the
your
bottom.
spinal. Yeah, that connects down to your spinal. But behind that there is an almost secondary brain there.
Mm-hmm. It's like a little miniature brain.
Yeah, essentially. But that is, I'm pretty sure that is responsible for your basically secondary nature stuff. It's that breathing and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that goes into different chemicals, and then essentially what your thoughts or your brain functions is just electricity. Essentially, it's a little shock, and then that'll send it through your neural system, and then that'll power everything else, which creates chemicals. And it's complicated. But,
right.
Yeah.
that part really comes into play when you talk about psychological studies and stuff, and people dealing with trauma. We all have CPTSD, and a lot of the things is we come into familiar situations and we feel like we're back in that original situation, and so we just automatic have those behaviors, and it's just our body trying to stay alive. Right? So it's those automatic responses, those knee-jerk reactions, it's just trying to stay alive. You faint. You're that fainting goat. Things get crazy and you're just
Yeah.
And then you're out.
9 times out of 10, yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's just when things get crazy, because things were crazy.
You can't handle it. It's essentially.
It's not that I can't handle it, it's just...
It's your coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They become
I think I
overwhelmed
also
and they can't
started when
process it.
I would go through that type of trauma and then I'd sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, it was your
So
way.
I taught my brain how to just stop.
Yep. And that all goes away, as you're working through your psychological stuffs. So individuals with damage to parts of the brain that process emotional information show impaired learning and decision making despite having intact attention, memory, and reasoning capabilities. Thus, without emotions, humans are incapable of functioning. So I thought this was really interesting because Mama was kind of right on that part.
Boom! What? You don't want to listen any other fucking time.
You're partly right.
Yeah.
It's still right.
You're right. It is a kind of a symbiotic relationship in order to have those emotions integrated in there. So emotion also plays an important role in memory function. Most readers will be familiar with the experience of encountering events that they were so emotionally charged they become indelibly marked in memory, whether they were personal events such as witnessing a loved one get injured, or historical events such as the Challenger explosion or the events of September 11th.
So, Jesus.
Yeah, that escalated quickly, huh?
Yeah, that's not the example I thought that I was going to go to.
Yeah, what did you come up with?
Studying with friends, having, jokes to go with it, or, stuff like that, essentially. That's why people who study in groups are much more likely to, succeed in that, either section of the test or the end test, in general.
Right, because they're going to be like, oh, yeah, well, Robbie said, because
Yeah.
he was a fucking dumbass and
Yeah,
said
yeah.
this, and then we had to tell him he was wrong because
So-
it was really this, and so
Yeah.
you memorize those parts.
Colors, too.
What do you mean?
Like, if you study, even with a group of friends or, like, by yourself, colors. If you write your notes in specific colors, you'll remember that color that you wrote that note in, so you're able to remember it better.
Yep. I can tell you, so, like, when I write notes when I'm studying, I can tell you it's going to be in this color. It's going to be, I can't remember what page it's on, but it's on, like, the 3/4 bottom part of the page, right? Like, yeah, that's where it's at. You're shaking the computer.
I told you. It's almost like your brain becomes photographic. Your brain is able to have a photographic memory with colors.
Yeah.
Do you know the difference between photographing and eidetic? What's the difference between that?
I don't know. I know one is where you can see the page where it's at, like you can, but eidetic is like, what's his face on,
Big Bang Theory?
Criminal Minds.
That's not where I was going with that.
That would be Sheldon.
On Criminal Minds. I think his name is Matt Grubler. I can't think of his, like, it's Penelope and I can't think of his name. No, that's his real name. That's not his name in it. Spencer Reed. Spencer Reed in Criminal Minds, where he can read you a book, like he can tell you what page it's on and then read you the page. Whereas a photographic memory, you can just
Can I see it?
yeah. So when it's talking about these big events, like there's those, do you have a specific big event in your life that you can remember exactly what happened because of the situation that was going on? You guys don't really have any like world events that really happened during your generation though. You know, like the older generation, they know exactly what happened and what they were doing when Pearl Harbor hit. Right?
9/11.
I know exactly what I was doing and what was going on and the conversations that I had when 9/11 hit. You know, the emotions, 9/11 is super, like, crazy for me because I still remember feeling those emotions from watching, you know, all of the footage that was happening on the news and what people were saying. And I was in Cheyenne and we have F.E. Warren Air Force Base there, which is like top 5 places to be bombed. And so we were on super high alert and, you know, I was working for the state and like it's a thing, you know. So it's when you're emotionally charged with those situations, those are the things that you tend to remember, especially those world event kind of things.
Yeah, we haven't had anything like that.
Mm-mm.
The only things that like we've had are like the school shootings.
Okay.
But again, like those aren't something that's happened to us.
Yeah, I was gonna say that didn't
America.
happen at like your school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they became big in our generation.
I have suspensions. That's what I don't know. I have
That's
events
not
in my own personal
world
life.
events.
Yeah.
That's how I measure my life. Like, oh yeah, when this happened, I was doing this.
Right. Okay, so the cue utilization theory by Easterbrook talks about the effect of emotional arousal is to narrow and focus attention by systematically reducing the range of cues attended to. Attention is thus moved away from peripheral or less relevant information in favor of augmented focus to cues that are central or immediately relevant to the individual, and that's what you were just saying. How, you know, when those big things happen, you're so emotionally charged that you're focused like right here, right? And that's where you're at. So activation to the amygdala and the hippocampus leads to narrowed attention and the selective enhancement of memory for the central aspects of the event. Clinically, this theory could explain the tunnel vision sometimes reported during crisis situations and the accompanying premature closure or fixation errors. So I think that's what you were saying about like the ambulance and the paramedics no, that's where my brain went, where you were talking about
Walking back.
I'm sorry.
Premature closure. Is it just thinking you processed it without actually processing it?
Well, how you were talking about how they replay events based on what they think happened and what was supposed to have happened as opposed to what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you're like missing a whole chunk.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And then like you think that that's the end when in reality you're missing this whole thing.
Right, because you can tell what happened to you. Like, you can tell when you had your rollover, you could tell what happened to you. Mm-hmm. But you couldn't tell what was going on with Natalie or what was going on with Maddie or, you know, any of those other people that were in the accident.
The only ones that I had eyes on and, like, knew exactly what was going on were the 2 girls.
Right. But
again, I had to leave them.
Those were the only things that you could see, right? So you weren't... But if you were just watching the situation yourself, you would have been able to tell, like, what was going on for everybody. So it gives you that tunnel vision kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yep. So according to the
it's like one of those movies. Like, I know they do it in If I Stay, with.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yes, you have. I can't remember her name.
Is that the one with Chloe Grace?
There you go. Yeah. The girl from Fifth Wave.
Yeah.
Where she's walking
Lawrence?
into the hallway of the hospital, and everything like slows down, like in Fast and Furious.
Like in Fast and Furious.
Yeah,
so they do the races.
And then everything elongates. It's like that.
Right.
I would have used a Need for Speed example.
Yeah, Need for Speed was a great movie.
Well,
but everybody's seen Fast and Furious. Not everybody's seen Need for Speed.
I haven't seen Fast and Furious.
You're such a fucking liar.
I haven't seen the last one.
Oh I haven't either.
It's so good.
Yeah, jeez. Way to generalize. I'm offended.
Good.
According to the broaden and build theory, positive emotions, regardless of their intensity, broaden a person's scope of attention and other cognitive functions. Positive emotions have been reported to improve the integration of information and problem-solving, decision-making, and cognitive organization. And so we'll come back.
What was that? That sound.
He was breathing.
Okay.
So we'll come back to this line because there have been...
You sound like a fucking dog whistle.
I was copying you for fucking your thing.
I didn't.
So
I had
like,
my hand here.
But my lips are just a little too close.
So we'll come back to that because there are some teen studies that I kind of want to integrate into this. So in potentially high-risk situations such as gambling and lottery, positive moods tend to produce risk-adverse behavior. However, in low-risk tasks where the likelihood of success is greater, positive emotions are associated with increased willingness to take risks. So that's like, if you're at the pool table or you're gambling or whatever and you're getting rewards, you're like, yeah, like I'm doing great. Like this is going well for me. I'm going to put more money in. Right? Mm-hmm. Whereas if, so that's like an adverse behavior, right? Because the more you win, the more you want to spend. Oh, I'm going to hit even bigger. And then you have people losing their house payments at whammy downs, right? So Gasper and Clore found that individuals in a positive mood tended to think more globally, that is to have a big picture view or see the forest, whereas individuals in sad moods tend to think more locally, that is to see the detailed view of the trees. Negative moods promote more analytic processing, whereas positive moods promote simple heuristic strategies. What?
I think Anthony just broke his spinal cord.
Oh, yeah. He's like snap, crack, pop over there. So, do you guys have an example of this?
Do you want me to be completely honest?
You weren't even listening.
I checked out.
Yeah.
They're big words. I can't.
Where'd you get lost?
Back on page 1.
I didn't hear that entire quote. Or that entire line.
I read 2.
That's
so
where she checked
which
out.
one?
No, we had a conversation before that.
So I think so an example I guess I could use is like people with depression essentially only focus on that closed environment. It's like, oh, I'm stuck in my room, like on my phone, and all I could see is just this right here. I'm just in my own little space, and it's just claustrophobic, enclosed. That's why they tend to stay isolated, because it's comfortable. It's, but people who are, not so, like, depressed, essentially are able to look at, oh, well, it is a bigger world, so I'm able to go outside, and, I think I am a little down, so let's go for a walk, stuff like that. I think that is something good.
I think that's a great example. Do you think this negative moods promotes more analytic processing?
I think maybe, like, it promotes more awareness. I think that's what it more refers to. Because when you're going back to that depression, you're more, self-aware. There we go, that's the word for it. You're more self-aware of the things around you and yourself. You know what you're feeling, you know what you're thinking. That's why people are constantly begging to escape the thoughts when depressed. So then, due to those thoughts, though, you're analyzing fucking everything around you.
And when you really shouldn't
when you're like, yo, what the fuck is that goldfish doing?
Like, he's staring at me and totally judging me right now. Like, I know it.
Yeah. So I think that's more what that goes into.
Okay.
Heuristic strategy. What is that?
I don't know.
Heuristic? How do you even say that?
Heuristic?
Is it heuristic?
I think it's heuristic. Like hedonism?
Or I thought... What does that mean? What does heuristic mean?
I don't know. Look it up. Mama, what you think?
I don't know.
Bruh.
Do you think that negative moods think locally, like it said? Where you're focused on the details, whereas the positive you think more globally?
I think anxiety has a lot is very tied in with that depression and that negative thought.
They go hand in hand with each other.
Yeah, they very much do. So with anxiety, like, yeah, you're focused on those little details.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he looked at me too long. Oh, he looked at me sideways. You know what I mean? When you're positive thinking, then you don't really, I wouldn't necessarily say care, but care about any of that stuff, so you're not worried about it. You're not focused on it.
So,
okay.
But
heuristic?
you can also have anxiety without depression.
Yes.
So it can go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
You can think positively and still have that anxiety, but it doesn't mean that you're depressed.
Okay.
So, heuristic, enabling someone to discover or learn something for themselves. So, essentially, I think that's the whole don't fill someone else's cup if you have nothing in your own kind of example. You know that phrase? I think that essentially that's what that means.
Why do you hate that saying?
Because we've all given when we don't have anything to give.
That's not true. If you are giving, you still have something to give.
I don't agree.
How so?
When we're all, like, not all, but when we are just feeling the fucking worst, and someone comes up to you and is like, hey, I need help. I know I do. I put my shit aside.
So that means
help
you
that
still
person.
have stuff to give.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but I'm not able to help myself.
You're different. You choose not to, yeah. You choose not to. You don't know where to start. You stay stuck in your own ways. Essentially, that's where you struggle. You have the energy and time to fix it. It just doesn't happen.
Could you take on distractions?
Okay.
And we've done it. I've done it. Mm-hmm. It's just a way to stay out of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But that means you still have something to give. Because if you were not doing well, like Anthony and I have both been to that point where we're just not doing well, And so we don't do anything. We don't answer
Right,
the phone.
but
We don't go anywhere. We don't.
If somebody texted you,
I turn off my phone when I'm in those modes.
Let me
Not all
use
the
this
time,
example then. When I went to the mental institute, I had nothing else to do. Nothing.
right,
So that's why I went to somewhere that they could actually help me.
right,
Right? Does that make sense? I had nothing else to give. I had no one to text, no one to call, nothing. I didn't trust anyone.
right,
I had nothing left to give. I had already given up at that point.
right.
So if someone were to call me or text me saying, hey, I needed help, I wouldn't have even thought twice to nah. You're on your own. I give up.
I don't get that.
That's having nothing left to give.
That's because you haven't reached that point of not having anything to give.
I have, though.
No, you haven't. Because once you're there at that point, you truly don't.
You're like...
You don't. You're like, I don't care. I can't.
Yeah. If your dad were to call you right now, be like, hey, I need some help. If I were to come down, do you think we could go for a ride or something? You would probably still be like, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Me? I would
people
be like,
like shut down.
Yeah.
People shut down.
Right, but if
That's
if you were in that state and Nana called you and said, I need help,
then I wouldn't even know that she would call me because nothing would be on.
not all the time you turn off your phone, though.
That's because I'm okay now. There have been times where I have not been okay. And
Right.
those times, my phone is off.
Not every time, though.
You're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying there have been times where the phone is off.
I'm talking about those times that it's not off.
Then I still have stuff to give.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Okay.
I don't think you're truly understanding it.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay. That's okay because
it's probably better that you have.
I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad that you don't understand that. That's a really hard one to grasp.
Yeah.
Until you've been in that deep dark hole situation where you truly
You've given up. There's nothing left to do. You could care less if anyone texted or called.
Yeah, that's a scary place to be. It really is a scary place to be.
It's a nice place to be sometimes, just because like there's literally no care.
Yeah, because you
like,
stop.
Yeah, you're just
stop.
like, you know what? I could lose my job. I don't care.
It all turns
I could
off.
lose my house. I don't care.
Mm.
Oh, this person could die. I don't care.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
really really bad place to be. It really is. So it's hard to be there. It's hard to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably best you don't know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't wish that on anybody because it's hard to come back from that.
Mm-hmm.
Because then once you start coming back from that, then everybody's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh my God, how are you?
Oh my God, are you okay?
That
Do you want to
fucking-
talk?
How
I'm
are
here
you
for you.
feeling?
Can I help you with anything? And you're just like, yeah, you can get the fuck
Just
away
like,
from me.
Where the fuck were you? Why are you around?
Yeah,
still?
like you were here.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
You know, when I was literally telling you I'm not doing okay. And then that gets overwhelming sometimes because then you're mad.
Then that's when resentment and anger start, and vengeance and shit like that start.
Yeah, and then the anger is your bodyguard at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So it sucks.
Which I actually have notes on every type of anger, if you want to go through that too.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know there was different types.
There's 12.
Oh damn! Okay, it's like the feelings wheel.
Hold on, let me see. Hold on, let's see here somewhere. There we go. So there's so first one is assertive anger. Okay. Second one is behavioral anger, chronic anger, destructive anger, judgmental anger, overwhelmed, passive aggressive, retaliatory, self-abusive, silent, verbal, and volatile.
Man, I've had every single one of those.
Well, everyone experiences it, but people have more of one than other, you know?
Okay.
Like, It's
Is it like a love language? You have like a top 3?
essentially.
Okay.
I would assume so.
Oh man.
So that
Is there a quiz?
when you come back from that, that dark place, whatever, you're more likely to have that self-abusive and that volatile and that silent. Does that make sense? And if you need, I could go into more detail about those.
I just don't understand what each of them.
Okay.
What the difference is between each.
Okay. Yeah. So, let's see. So self-abusive. Let's see.
You need tabbies.
This whole notebook is filled with random shit. Okay, self-abusive. It is connected with shame and low self-esteem and feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness. So you just came out of that dark place, right? You're hopeless. Oh, no one's gonna fucking save you now. I don't care. Right? That kind of feeling.
Isn't that what you're feeling in that dark place?
Yes, but now it's turned into anger. It's
that,
not,
that
I don't
place
care.
is like nothingness.
Yeah, you feel no emotions essentially in that place. It's, I don't care. There's no feeling. It's not angry. It's not relieving. It's nothing. You just, I exist now.
Okay.
It's like you're in a white room.
Yeah. Right. So with
Nothing
emotions, there's, oh yes, I'm so happy. I'm angry. I'm sad. I don't want to do that. Right? There's emotions into that. But with that place, it's okay. Oh, you want me to do this? Okay. There's nothing. You don't care. Right? And then there's effects of internal and external damage, right? So with that, there comes that comes to the self-abusive. That's where self-harm can come in. You're angry and you just want to feel something else, right? So you cut in order to feel a physical sense of pain. And then internal, where that can manifest into the silent anger, which is, it's internalized. So you don't want to talk. It's non-verbal. But people can read your body language, right? You're very closed off. You stonewall. Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. Like, I know I do that a lot. When I get angry to a point, I don't
He
talk.
says, okay.
I don't talk.
Okay.
I'll keep it to a minimal. I don't want to talk to you. I don't really want to be around anyone.
Mine's all figured out.
Not until I, process it myself, right? And that could also lead to increased stress, tension, and behavior related, and that can even go to overwhelming anger. But yeah. And then you asked about volatile. This one is an explosive type that can become.
My printer's possessed.
It's an explosive type of anger that can become destructive. So that volatile is, you've actually seen me do it once. When,
Oh, the hole in the wall?
yeah, essentially, so that's exploding. What the fuck, right? And then that could lead to the destructive. I punched the fucking hole in the wall.
I was like,
Yeah, so
That
that's
he's fixing today.
yeah, that is volatile anger. Okay, is that explosive? But volatile can be caused by even the littlest thing. That's the difference between that and just plain out destructive. Does that make sense?
but these are
So
all
the-
behaviors. They're all.
Well, yeah,
Things
it's
that
just
you-
behavior patterns.
They
That's it.
lead to the behaviors.
Yes.
So the feeling is what happens before the behaviors.
And then behavioral anger
But see, there's behavioral anger.
is an anger. It's a physical reaction. Can be expressed through being violent, throwing things, yelling, and intimidating.
So when Anthony's punching walls, that's a different behavior.
That's explosive
than
and
me.
destructive.
Throwing stuff when I'm mad.
Yes.
Two different types of anger.
And it's more, people are more commonly to have chronic anger, which is typically directed towards other people, situations, and even oneself. Okay? It can impact your self-esteem if it's towards your own self. It could fly under the radar, meaning it could be passive-aggressive as well. Okay?
That's me.
It can cause a lot of damage while going under the radar, right? So essentially what that turns into is, let's see, you earlier, when mom asked you to move the camera or something, or the table, you were just like, right. You're frustrated. That is a form of anger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You still did it. It went under the radar. But it then led to you impacting and holding it in, which then later to a lash out later.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So these are like steps. They're not different angers, but they're steps.
They're different kind of processes.
Because
is what it
each
is.
one can be by itself. They don't have to be in coordination with.
It's situational. So there's an infinite number of possibilities of what could happen, right? So, let's see. Mom dies.
Let's not say
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
It's just an example. Okay. She dies. We're probably gonna feel, sad, but angry too. Why the fuck did she have to die, right? Any one of these can happen, right? Any one of these could fucking happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it just depends on how your brain processes that form, right? No one knows what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's all emotional. Emotions are very unpredictable.
And it is also dependent on what happened before that,
Environmental.
right? So you could have lost your job, you could have wrecked your car, you could have broken up with your boyfriend, and then, your pet dies,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so how you handle the death of your pet is going to be all contributing to all of this other stuff that happened before. And so you maybe, with that death of your pet by itself, it could have been, just the chronic anger. But with all of that happening before, it's going to lead you to
that volatile.
the
where you
volatile or the
explode.
destructive behavior, or the destructive anger.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
This is
Where
why I
are we
love the
losing it?
brain. This is why I love the brain. It's very complicated. You have to see the bigger picture and not just, oh, okay, so this leads to this. It's not just this leads to this. This one thing can lead to a billion other things because it's variables, is what
A
it is.
plus B does not equal C all the time
No.
in psychology or brain science.
A plus B equals infinity.
Where are we losing you?
I think that on that first quote.
Yeah. Back on the quote.
No. So then, how do people explode?
It's
Because
a build. It's a build. So
then
they
it
get
would be
overwhelmed.
all of them.
No, because there is also overwhelmed anger.
Well, because if you look at Renz would explode. He would immediately go to explosion, and it would be either or with Renz. It would be either immediate destruction or immediate volatile, right?
What do you? What?
Renz, destructive. Immediate destructive.
It was
or
destructive
immediate,
and
yeah.
volatile.
And so you never knew what was going to happen when he was mad, right? But
Okay.
you knew it was going to be one of the two.
But you never know what anybody's going to be like when they're mad.
You
Exactly.
know,
It's
well, depending. Like, I know what Anthony is going to do in just about any given situation,
Right.
okay? And he's going to handle things a million times different than how Renz handles things. Right.
so this overwhelmed anger. It's unpredictable, is what I have here. It kills over time and it builds up, which is why it's unpredictable.
That's where I'm at all the time.
Because when it builds up, it could go off at any time, but it leads to that self abusive anger, which is the holding it in, internal and shame. You feel guilty, and that leads to worthlessness and hopelessness because you don't know what to do at that point. You
So
let
it's
it
all
build
just
up.
a cycle.
No,
No, because it's not it can be interconnected, but you can have each one exclusively.
they're variables. Okay, so like these two can go together. These two can go together. All of these can go together, but there's no just it's done. There's always it's like I said, it's situational. It's circumstances. So it could end right there as soon as you get you're angry, you explode, boom, done. Or you could explode, which could lead to, someone calling the cops, which causes you to get even more angry, and then that leads to a billion other things, right? It's all circumstantial. These are just the types of it. But everyone will experience these in different times, ways, with different people, in different environments. There's all these other variables that play into each other. This is why I am fucking addicted to emotions.
I don't know how.
It's unknown.
Because none of that makes sense.
It's unknown, exactly. You don't know how it's going to play out. But what you can do is study the patterns of someone's behavior, what they do, how they speak, what they came from. So everyone has a pattern to them. And that's what's fascinating about humans.
Mm-hmm. So past behavior is generally a good predictor of future behavior.
Yes. Which is why usually people who are addicted to drugs are like, oh, they're just addicted. They're probably, when they get overwhelmed, people are like, oh, he's just going to relapse again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What are you feeling right now? Because you have a look of utter disgust and anger on your face right now. So what's going on there?
It's like you just don't agree to an extent.
I'm just lost. I
So what are you confused on? Is it just the process of it?
Yes.
How so? And where in the process?
See, you're telling me it's not a process that they can have each individually, but then you're calling it a process.
It is a process.
Your brain processes
Yes.
it. The emotions are different.
Because any emotion can happen. Any. Literally any. If you're crying your fucking eyes out, someone could be showing sympathy and compassion and hold you and try to comfort you. And then when you calm down a little bit, you can make a joke and then you both start laughing and it lightens the mood a little bit, right? That leads from pure sadness to a little bit of hopeful and happiness, right? But if you're crying, okay, going back to that sadness, if you're crying and someone says, what the fuck are you crying for? Suck it up. That's obviously going to piss you off. You're going to go from being sad to angry. That is very different situations and different things that can happen from it, right?
Right.
So those are just two variables only.
But those aren't the types of anger.
Well, no, but it could lead to different types of. So that anger one, that sadness, someone tells you to suck it up, stop being a bitch, right? That can lead to any kind of anger. It just depends on how you, as a person, take it, right? So I know if someone told me that, I would probably get quiet, and I would silent. I would do the silent anger. I'd be like, you know what? All right, and I would think in my head.
Would go self-destruct mode.
Yeah. Right. So that's very different ways. But it's just how you, as a human being, process your own emotions and how much control you have over your own emotions. Which is why people tell you self-care and knowing yourself are very important things. Staying grounded so you have control. And when you have more control, you have more power. And the more power you have, the more influential you could be, the more power you have over other people. Because when people see that you are powerful and have control over yourself, you could be yourself, people want to be like you.
And people come to you.
Mm-hmm. Like they said, there's all these different ways that anything can go, right? After we're done recording this, I could be like, all right, fuck you, I'm out. Right? That's going to probably hurt you guys' feelings, right? That is a different way of how things can go compared to, oh, hey, you guys want to go lunch after this? We should do something, right? That's two different ways, very different ways to process, different emotions being played into that. Mm-hmm. Right? Is that kind of making sense now?
Kind of.
There is infinite a number of possibilities, right?
I guess I just don't know how I am when I'm angry.
Yeah, and due to
I don't think that's because you don't know how to be angry.
Mm-hmm. Because you're just, oh, I guess, something must have happened. I guess, you don't know your own worth, essentially.
Yeah.
Mm. and so you're just like, okay, well, I'm just not gonna deal with it, and you shove it in, and then you're just like, okay, on to the next thing. You don't allow yourself to be angry.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, somebody needs help, or oh, somebody's calling me, or oh, I'm gonna get on social media.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So is that starting to kind of come together a little bit?
And like when I do have like those angry situations, they're very small, I guess, in a sense.
And due to not expressing that emotion, you will not have any experience in knowing how to deal with it until you start expressing it.
That scares the shit out of me.
Trust me, it's a process.
It is a process.
When I was trying to relearn how to be sad, I was fucking a mess. I was crying a lot, and like it was probably the most I cried in like years.
Mm-hmm.
I cried probably more in a month than I did in like the past 3 years after that. Like it's a whole thing.
And it didn't help that when you guys were young, I didn't know how to process anger myself, so it wasn't allowed for you guys to process anger.
Yeah, we had no example of it.
Right.
On either sides of the family.
Yeah. So it wasn't allowed to be angry.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of your guys' handicap. And mine too, which is why I'm mad all the time now while I'm going through counseling.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just because we don't know how to express that anger. We don't know. And some of these versions of anger are healthy. Mm-hmm. You know, the assertive anger, that's a healthy
let
anger.
Me read you the like what I wrote for that. And that one you might actually really like. Assertive anger, okay, is used for constructive positivity, typically used to use frustration in a focused way, okay, either to set boundaries or expressing, okay.
I did that in school.
Yes, that is assertive anger. That is a healthy form of anger.
And that goes back to those statements that we learned when you were in counseling. I feel, I want, I need.
Yep, sometimes used in I feel statements. Mm-hmm. That anger in a healthy way. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that in school.
Yep, that is a healthy form of anger.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when, like I was saying early, you're not going to talk to me that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it sounds angry, but it's assertive. You know your boundaries. Mm-hmm. You know your worth. That's why I'm not going to let you, talk to me that way.
Yeah. You either speak to me like you got some sense, or you don't get to speak to me at all. And that's when you remove yourself from the situation. That is assertive anger. Because you're mad. You're like, how the fuck? Why do you think you can come talk to me like that?
And
right?
See, I've tried that, and you've seen me try that. But I always get told I'm wrong when I try that.
Well, that's because
you sometimes you lash out.
It's not
what you do.
with my circle though.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you see me try it at work.
So
that's because that was Outback.
So let's use me as an example, right? You were mad that you wanted to spend more time with me, right? Mm-hmm. And I told you in an assertive way, I will not drop my life to conform to your needs, right? That was me being assertive in telling you that, like, yes, I understand what you're wanting. Yes, but it's a fantasy in what you're in the way that you're wanting it.
Ow.
She get you?
No, my nail got caught in my pants.
Oh. I thought she was getting you.
But yeah, but the way you wanted it was a fantasy, right? In no reality was I just, oh yeah, let me just take this day off of work and make no money to pay no bills because you want to spend the day together, right? That's a fantasy. It's unrealistic. So when you set those goals and when you tell someone you want something, you need to be clear, but also understanding, and that's where the fuck is that emotion? I don't think it's compassion or sympathy. There's an emotion for it, but it's to be understanding of of reality still.
Like that sympathetic.
Is it okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too good with that one.
Like when you called me at school and asked me if I could spend the day with you, and I told you I couldn't because I was at school.
Yes, exactly, right? And I took no shame to that. I was like, well, fuck, that sucks.
All right, never mind. I'll call mom.
That's understanding, right? Like, I'm not gonna get fucking, it sucks, but it's an emotion. Deal with it, But it's not something that's going to impact my life, right? Deal with it, process it. All right, done. But you cannot process that. That's where you struggle.
Yeah.
You take that to heart. You're like, oh, well, he just doesn't want to spend the day with me, and fucking he.
And those are the stories that you tell yourself.
Yes.
And that feeds those emotions.
And then you take it out on us later.
Right.
Yep. Well, you didn't want to do this. I'm like, that's not what the fuck I said.
Yeah, because those stories aren't true. Those stories aren't true.
Yeah.
And so that's where we have to stop and figure out, are those stories true?
And that's where we tell you you're wrong.
Yeah, because we're telling you those stories aren't true.
Yeah. We're like, listen, you either misheard or someone like.
But that is not what I said.
Or someone doesn't know me.
Right. Okay, so that goes back to this first line where current research in neuroscience and cognitive sciences indicate that emotions modulate a variety of cognitive processes, including perception, memory, attention, and reasoning. So that's saying that neuroscience, right, brain science, okay, and cognitive science, like your thoughts, that emotions, what?
Don't your brain process your thoughts or not?
They're two separate things.
Yes.
They're two
so
separate
there's
things.
neural pathways, right? The neural links, right? The things that connect all your
Synapses.
Yeah. Right? So there's those.
The
right?
fireworks, right? When you have a thought. And
Those
the
are charged with
fireworks run through.
electricity. Have you ever looked at a brain scan while someone is thinking?
No.
Oh, dude, they're like electric trains.
Yeah.
And they start with a spark, and then they're gone.
So you know how, like, in, like, hospital shows, when they're doing a CT scan, and you see, like, yellow or red in the brain somewhere, right? It's kind of like that, except it's more in detail in the real thing. But essentially, there's part of the brain that lights up, right, when you are thinking, right? But there's different ways it can do that in different sections, based on how you were thinking and what you were using.
But isn't that what the different parts of the brain is for? Like, each thought comes from a different part of your brain.
Yes,
That's where it starts.
Yeah. The thing is...
Oh, this whole thing's going to make me sick.
The thing is, the reason why the brain is so complicated is because, yes, we have named these sections of the brain, but that section of the brain is not limited to only do that. Does that make sense? That is why the brain is so complicated. So, yes, we have... me and Michaela were actually talking about this. Multi-dimensions, okay? Our brain...
Wait. You gotta stay in one section.
Don't worry, it'll come together. I promise. Our brain cannot fathom the idea of the fifth dimension. Okay? So, first dimension, just think a line. Okay?
Okay.
Second dimension, 2 lines. Length, width.
Okay.
I think, right? Okay, yeah. Okay. And then our third dimension, the one we live in,
Sphere.
is a 3D. Okay? So a 2-dimension is just a square on a piece of paper. Okay? That is a 2-dimensional thing. A 3-dimensional thing is a cube, because then height comes into play. So length, width, and height. Those are 3 things, right? Mm-hmm. Think a 4th dimensional. Think a cube on each side of that cube. Okay? We could somewhat process that. You know, sometimes we need an idea.
I was like, is that like the thing in Transformers?
No, that's literally called the cube.
No, that's still just a 3-dimensional cube.
Okay.
But like a Rubik's Cube.
But just think, we cannot fathom the idea of the 5th dimension, because a cube then would be on every other side of that other cube. And you could see through it all and place things in every section of that.
Isn't that what
You can't fathom that.
Like an apartment?
No, that's still 3-dimensional.
How? Because there's apartments in this big building.
Okay, but just think, it's still sectioned. It's length, so you have the length of the kitchen, the width of the kitchen, and the height of the kitchen. But just think.
But like in like an apartment like a big apartment complex.
But we cannot see the 4th dimension. So just think, if something were to appear right now, a portal, okay? I take my notebook, put it through, boom, I entered it in the 4th dimension. We can't see it though.
Like the black hole.
Yeah, exactly. We cannot see it. We cannot understand it because we have no tools to understand it. Okay. Everything we have or use is in the 3rd dimension. Okay? The brain, okay, is like that fourth dimension in a way. It has these pathways and stuff, and it goes through each of these pathways with different circuits, okay? And all these thoughts go in between each other, connect, and all that. That's the, oh, I have an idea. Our thoughts connected, right? Does that make sense? But with the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension, there are different sections that we use, but we don't know we're using them.
Mm-hmm.
This is why the brain is so fucking
Well,
complicated.
and we only use like, what is it, like 2% of our brain power? Literally, think about it. Like geniuses are using like what 5% of their
I
brain?
think it's 8.
Okay,
But
that's
yeah,
it. That's it. We're still in single digits on using our brain.
and like Einstein's theory of relativity, when he introduced gravity into boson particles and stuff like that, like man's is a fucking literal genius thinking of black holes, and even Stephen Hawking when he thought of black holes and his whole idea of it. There's right, like you can't fathom the idea of a multi-dimensional universe, right? It's the same thing with the brain. No one is going to be able to fully understand it due to how intricate it is.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen the movie Lucy?
It's a very good
That
movie.
one kind of explains
Mm-hmm.
like the powers and abilities you have, like as you go up when you use your brain percentage.
So
If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's a
the
totally good
end
movie.
scene of it, she explains that 1 + 1 does not equal 2. We made that up so our human brains can somewhat wrap our brain around the fact of we're living in a 3-dimensional place. Okay. But when you introduce the 4th dimension in time, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 + 1 can equal an infinite amount of things.
Like time travel,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because time isn't linear; it curves. So if you're going to do time travel, you have to do that curve to get back.
I'm telling you, man, you gotta do some research. It's the most fascinating fucking thing ever.
Yeah, it's crazy. The brain is capable of so many things, and even today's science cannot explain everything that it can do. And that's nuts. So when you start going into...
I'm pretty sure there's been more breakthroughs in physics than there has the actual neuroscientific brain.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason is because we have the rules from the American Psychological Association, the APA, I think is what it is. Then we can't do human testing. A lot of our knowledge that we have from neuroscience, oddly, comes from the Nazis. From all of the brain testing and things that they were doing with twin studies when they were testing on humans. Here in the U.S., we're not allowed to do human studies.
That's why Japan is so advanced too.
Then what are trials for?
Clinical trials are on animals.
Not
And
always.
you have to get approval from the board in order to progress to human studies.
And they'll only look at that approval based on how those animal trials went.
Yeah.
So if you have like really inconsistent data and it's been more harmful than good, they'll probably be like, nah.
And it has to follow like these guidelines because you still have to maintain humane trial and errors for humans. Like you can't purposely torture a human. Which is why when they did the Stanford prison experiment, I think we watched that movie. I don't know if I watched that movie with you or not. When they did the Stanford prison experiment, they had to stop it because the guards were treating the prisoners like they were real prisoners, but they weren't.
So, yes, with clinical trials, they start on animals, but why start on animals when we do not have the same immune system or anything of an animal?
Because we need to test it on something.
But it's not going to have the same result.
That's why we use monkey. Monkeys' brains are weirdly similar to ours.
Mm-hmm. So you start at like mice, and then you work your way up.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's weird steps. It's a biology thing. So what we're talking about, getting back to this, is how your brain science and your thoughts tie into your emotions. Those are 3 very distinct processes.
Okay.
Okay? So your brain triggers a thought. which triggers an emotion.
Well, sort of. It triggers the electrical stuff, which then triggers the chemical to those emotions.
Yeah, because it creates that physiological response, like the sweating and the stuttering and stuff that we were talking about earlier, right? So your brain creates those things. Okay. So we're talking about.
Dude, Justin, we still have another page.
Yeah. So the goal relevance model, and I think you'll totally like get this part. Okay. So the goal relevance model, it says that individuals prioritize information that is relative to their active goal, right? You've seen me do this when I'm sorting through papers, and I'm like, okay, this goes with this goes with this, and then I got to do these steps, right? So pre-goal.
Like with your beauty school, you know, when someone feels more pretty, you know, they are happier.
Right, like episode 10.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Stuff like that.
So pre-goal emotions, okay, that desire, excitement, fear, and anger, are experienced with the attainment or failure of a goal that may occur in the future. A goal directing efforts are ongoing. Okay? Whereas post-goal emotions, which is happiness, contentment, sadness, and grief, occur when the attainment or failure of a goal has occurred. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Nope.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So when you start a goal, okay, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, and these are the steps I'm going to take, right? Because we work backwards, right? So these are the steps I'm going to take. This is going to be so exciting, and this is going to be like, okay. But in order to start that goal, you have to stop something else, right? So you have the experience and the feelings of stopping something else in order to start this goal. Then you start the goal, and then you're like, okay, yes, I'm doing this, right? You're doing this literal thing going through beauty school, okay? And then you graduate, okay? Then you're super excited. Oh my God, like I can start it, and then I can start the company, or you fail school. Oh man, I didn't pass my boards. Right?
Yeah.
And then you have all of those feelings, right? So you have pre-goal emotions, and then you have post-goal emotions. Okay? So the circumplex model of affect, which postulates that emotions are defined based on two dimensions. Okay? Their valence, which is positive versus negative, and their level of physiological arousal or activation, which is high arousal or low arousal. Okay? Talactico et al., who is the last name from the study, observed that although there is generally a higher proportion of recall of peripheral details for positive events than negative events, different emotions at the same valence of arousal differ from each other. Memories of anger-provoking events include a lower proportion of peripheral details than fear-provoking events, despite both being negative high arousal emotions.
So I think a way that, like, that could be... I think a way that could be explained for you is, like, that high arousal is like, oh, that was satisfying as fuck. Like, you know how people are like, dude, that, oh my God, that was awesome, right? That's satisfying. That is, like, high arousal. But low arousal is like, bro, that was fucking sickening, and I never want to see that again. Exhibit A. So that is a way, you know, to reword it in a way.
Okay. So similarly, individuals recall proportionally more details from positive surprise events like happiness-provoking events, despite both being positive high arousal emotions. Likewise, images that provoke a reaction of disgust are later recalled better than images that provoke fear. So there are other feelings out there that provoke this same memory recall, right? You're going to remember something that surprised you and you were happy about, right? Like a surprise party, right? You're going to remember that. You're going to be like, oh man, I walked in, I was having the shittiest fucking day. I walked in and everybody else surprised and I was like, whoa, right? And then I was like, oh my God, like everybody's here for me and we had a party and we had a great time. Okay? And then there was this one time I saw this picture and it was absolutely disgusting. Like the guy from the booth yesterday, and I'm always going to remember that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, those are both high emotions, but you're going to recall the same amount from both, even though one is a negative emotion and one is a positive emotion.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh man, I hate that.
And just think, this is stuff that like we already know.
Yeah, right?
Just
is like...
due to like...
I think I need a nap in a 10-pound fucking cow.
So, constructive aspect of memory recall was also observed in a clinical setting by LeBlanc et al. With anxious participants. Following an anxiety...
What's his name?
LeBlanc?
L-O.
LeBlanc.
But this one up here says...
Galactico?
That's a different...
Yeah, these are different authors.
What's...
From
okay.
different studies.
Okay.
Different studies. Okay? So, following an anxiety-induced stimulating clinical scenario, paramedics were more likely to make commission errors in their case reports following non-anxiety producing scenarios. In other words, they were more likely to report signs, symptoms, or treatments that had not occurred. The majority of the commission errors were consistent with the expected symptoms of the case, which suggests that when anxious, paramedics relied more on the reconstructive process of memory based on their schema of what would be expected in such a situation. So that's what we were talking about, and that's why I said paramedics. I was like, no, that's a later one, where Anthony was talking about when people under high stress situations, they remember what should have happened as opposed to what actually happened. Right? So paramedics.
The word assuming comes to mind for me.
Right.
You assumed the probability of what happened.
Right.
You jumped to conclusions.
So paramedics, when they're pulling somebody in and they have this thing, somebody's having a heart attack, okay? They're going to go through and be like, yeah, I did this and this and this and this, okay? Because that's what happens. You get somebody with a heart attack in the ambulance, these things happen in this order, right? But you get that paramedic's grandma in the ambulance, they're going to be like, yeah, these things happen, this and this and this and this. But those things didn't necessarily happen in that order. They don't remember it correctly because they're emotionally driven because grandma's in there and not some random guy down the street.
Right.
Right? So that's what they're saying. When you have that anxiety ridden, you go off of what you assume happened, not necessarily what did happen.
Okay.
Okay? So in medical students, positive emotions have been linked to increased creativity, decreased cognitive biases, and more thorough approaches to diagnostic reasoning problems. This was explained in the article because they had talked about, medical students that were doing well in their diagnosis and stuff, like the House episodes, right? You remember the show House? Mm-hmm. He would go through because he was like, yeah, I know what's going on, right? And he would give that like real life thing of what was happening because he was always in a positive light. I mean, he wasn't always in a positive light because he was always talking shit to everybody.
Wasn't he also
But that was like his demeanor. Right.
Yeah.
But when you took those drugs away from him, he was kind of a fucking mess. And he was anxiety ridden and he was going to diagnoses that weren't right.
Yeah.
And then when he got his drugs, he was like, oh, hey, what was I thinking? That's not what this is. I totally missed this and it's this. Okay. So in a variety of health professions, anxiety and stress have been linked with impaired working memory and immediate recall, subtle alterations in clinical reasoning, and impaired technical and clinical performance, but also with increased memory consolidation. So that's kind of the paramedics. Mm-hmm. Okay. What?
Nothing.
Default interventionist model of reasoning characterizes emotion-driven and intuitive responses as rapid, unconscious, and non-analytic. So Anthony and I talk about this all the time. So the default mode of processing, also known as symptom 1, is intuitive and quite error-prone, while the interventionist, logical, and conscious mode, also known as system 2, is the preferred form of reasoning. Increased reliance on consciousness and analytical thought has been recommended as a strategy to reduce diagnostic errors. Okay, so Anthony relies on system 2 all the time. Okay, because he is an analytical thinker. He doesn't rely on emotions. Men tend to do this more.
Well, they're also taught that way.
I wasn't.
Not all men, but most most men.
Way to generalize, bro.
Oh my god. Society now.
So women, we rely more on intuition,
Yeah.
right? We're like, yeah, that just doesn't feel right, so maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, that whole phrase of, oh, I bet you were out with that bitch. Like that.
I know you was out cheating, right?
Yeah.
What's that
Peaches.
Ludacris song? You were where?
With
who?
Okay. I've said that so many
You
times.
know. And so that's the difference. So society prefers system 2, legit, right? Because they want the logic, they want the answers, they want the
Facts,
reasoning,
the truth, yes.
right?
Can you
Sometimes.
stop shaking before I stab you with this fucking pencil in your leg?
Listen, man, I either click my butt or shake my leg. Pick on it.
Whereas the parts that come away from society, like witches, we rely on intuition,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're like, that doesn't feel right. We can walk into a room and look at somebody and be like, yeah, they don't feel right. You know, this room doesn't feel right. This situation doesn't feel right. Something feels off. I don't like him. I can't tell you why. I don't like her. She just gives off a weird vibe. Like, how many times do we say that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the time, right? And so we rely more on intuition. She doesn't feel right, and I can't tell you what's quite off about her, but something doesn't feel right. Where Anthony's like, man, she's probably just having a bad day. Do we not always have those conversations?
Facts. But then I'm in the wrong when I tell people that they're having a bad day, so it's fine. And no, it's not. Okay.
You're gonna make them think it's their idea.
So given that emotions and cognitive...
That's manipulation.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's a communicative strategy.
No, that's manipulation.
No, manipulation would have been like, look, I'm gonna force you to tell me about this.
No,
When
making them to
communicative
believe that
strategy-
it's their idea is manipulation.
No, like you gotta you gotta ask them and
No.
go through the process.
No, there's no.
So there is.
That's
So,
manipulation.
No, that's strategic thinking.
That's manipulation.
It's manipulation.
You are literally manipulating me right now.
Even Michaela is saying it's manipulation.
Because then you could be
You are
like,
literally manipulating me right now.
hey, Howard, how was your day? And then they'll respond, oh, it's all right. And you can be like, just all right? Why not good? Then they'll be like, oh, well, I just had this thing going on. And then, boom, they told you about that.
That's
Free willing.
manipulation.
No, that's free willingly.
No.
All you did was ask questions.
No, that's manipulation. It's making them think that.
I see nothing wrong with that.
That's because you're manipulating.
I see nothing wrong with that.
Because you're a manipulator.
Okay, so given that emotions and cognition are intimately linked, this artificial dichotomy of conscious rational thought and unconscious error-prone intuitions can have a harmful effect on how physicians perceive their own decision, even calling accurate diagnoses into question. Intuitions are particularly important to understand since they are unconscious or implicit solutions to a problem.
You whack your goddamn
Wow. What did I just say?
You were talking about the error-prone things.
Yeah, I know where we were.
She knows where we were. I know what you said.
Mm-hmm. Can you give me an example of that?
Of assertive?
Assertive.
What?
Wait, where were we?
Did
Hang
you
on.
just refer to the anger we were talking about?
I know. I was
an
like, that
hour ago?
wasn't even close.
Wait.
to
No.
what
It
I
was an
said.
A word. It was an A word.
We're not even down the rope here, bro.
No, we're not. We're right here.
We were talking about the error-prone right here.
No, we're not. We're past that. We're past the two systems.
Are we on this given? Oh, right, error-prone right here.
Mm,
Look, I read error-prone here too.
Error-prone.
Okay? That's why I thought we were there.
weird. Okay, so a situation of unconscious or error-prone intuitions. Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah. So it says intuitions are particularly important to understand since they are unconscious or implicit solutions to a problem. They're talking about how, like, physicians diagnose based on intuition as opposed to actual evidence.
Like,
Who?
look, man, all evidence is pointing to this, but to be honest, it's probably this. That's why. Okay,
Wait,
so
wait. Did you say physicians?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Doctors.
okay.
So, an example, Google. You know when people are like feeling something or, oh, what the fuck is that on my
man,
body?
and they're
They go to
totally
Google.
convinced they're dying.
Yeah. because Google is telling them, look, evidence is pointing to this. So Google is like, look, man, you probably have like cancer or some shit. When you go to a doctor,
die in 3 days.
Yeah, like when you go to a doctor and they're like, look, man, it's just a mole. It's okay. You'll survive. Right. That is intuition based off.
Okay. Off of like actual symptoms and stuff. So although intuition is not an emotion, which I thought was weird, it is possible that emotions are linked to our ability to assess implicit solutions.
Isn't intuition still just a form of analytic, like of analyzing?
I think so, because the way that I understand intuition is that intuition comes from our stomach.
What the fuck?
As like a feeling?
As like a feeling.
But
so
intuition is not a feeling. It's not an emotion.
Well,
Right.
I don't feel it.
No. It's like a physiological response, like sweating.
I don't view it that way.
But you don't have intuition because you're a dude.
I view intuition as like, what? What sense does that make? Because you're a guy, you can't have this. Like, what? No, I view intuition in a way of like, oh, based off of my previous memories and experiences
That's
and
not
things like
intuition.
that, you know, I think this is probably going to go this way.
That's not intuition. That's using context clues.
Okay, so intuition.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, wait. So let me finish explaining what
Wait,
I thought.
wait, I need to know, am I wrong?
I read this article.
Am I wrong?
Okay, wait, hang on. I read this article about intuition. Okay, like forever ago. So I can't like quote the article. But it was talking about how intuition comes from cues that our body recognizes.
Okay.
And it remembers situations before our brain processes it.
So it is a form of...
So it is a form of analytic
Based off of...
based
like,
on
memories
stuff
and
that we
stuff like
know.
that. Okay.
But it also takes into place that energetic feeling that we receive from other people. So it's a mix of the two. It's a mix of the contextual clues that we haven't registered yet. That's why when people say, if you are running into your boyfriend and you feel butterflies, you're not supposed to be happy about that.
Yeah.
Right? And you're supposed to run from that because you need a boyfriend that makes you feel calm.
Mm-hmm. Instead of like, oh my God, because that butterfly is the anxious feeling and your body is recognizing contextual clues that you have seen in previous relationships, and so that's telling you to run. So intuition is a mix of the two. Okay? So that's how it's explained. So it's not an emotion, which I thought that seems like it's an emotion, but it's not.
I found it's quiet.
So, transformative learning is described as a major shift in a person's perspective that can occur when fundamental beliefs are challenged.
I just have a lot of anger towards you right now. I'm sorry.
What I do, man?
Oh, it's because she's overwhelmed. She's got the overwhelmed figure going on.
Stop! Can we hurry up, please?
Okay, so these last three, Mama, I think you are going to be really interested in because I totally thought of Grey's Anatomy about these three. Okay. So transformative learning is just. Oh my God! Wow!
I just wanted to know what you said.
Two for flinching.
What did you say?
I was like, I still have yet to watch that.
Oh
Yeah, same.
Why'd you freak out? Are
Bro,
you okay?
You just told me you have a lot of anger towards you. What the fuck am I supposed to do? I have a lot of anger towards you. Fuck you. And then just like...
Yeah, that's trauma right there.
Shit. My bad, bro.
Oh,
Sorry.
She fucking hates you.
Yeah, she's gonna fuck you up on camera.
Okay, come on.
Okay, so transformative learning is described as a major shift in a person's perspective that can occur when fundamental beliefs are challenged. Experiential learning theorists argue that an individual's emotional reaction to that challenge is instrumental in the shift in perspective and thus in the learning. So this literally just happened with you this episode.
Okay.
Literally.
What do you mean how so?
right? Because that transformative learning, you just had a major shift in your perspective because your fundamental beliefs were challenged about anger, right? So you learned something new based on emotions because you were feeling some sort of way about anger.
Yeah, that's probably why you're all angry at me.
Right?
You know, I was pissed there for a minute.
And so then we went over the anger notes. And so you have had a transformative learning. So you will never forget this episode.
Wait, okay, so wait. Can you back up, please? Just so I can see her. Just so I can see her.
Your fucking hands are in the way.
Sorry.
You got some big ass hands.
Okay. What do you mean by fundamental learning?
Your core belief. What you thought you knew and you had been hanging on this whole time is now over. That's done. That belief is now gone.
Original thought.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it's good to keep an open mind.
Right. Because the things that you know tend to change, especially when you do as much research as we do.
Okay.
Right? And so that's why we have this podcast, is because we're changing people's minds about what they really think about what's going on. Right?
What the fuck was that?
I don't know. It's on my notebook.
Okay, next.
Okay.
Why are you rushing
So
through this?
the
Because I'm starting to
application.
get overwhelmed.
The application.
Stop. Move.
Someone's a little peachy.
Learning in the application of previously learned information or solution to a current situation or problem also requires transfer of knowledge, cognitive flexibility, and associative learning.
Right? So something as simple as like tying your shoes. Right? So I don't even remember how I taught you guys how to tie your shoes. Was it the bunny ears?
I taught myself.
Yeah, I taught myself too.
Oh man.
Because
Actually-
I remember one
actually-
day I came home and my laces were like everywhere. Like I put them through all the loops and everything. It's like, look, Mom, I tied my shoe, and you're like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, you very much like, what's that word? It's not agreed, but like let us do our own thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, you
I was
basically
like,
let us learn our own.
You do your thing.
Yeah, you
yeah.
were very much-
You got it. Your
Yeah.
shoes are tied. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
They are not tripping you up when you're walking. You do your thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
But no, I learned at school,
Okay.
and I learned the 2 bunny ears, or
And
I
then
knew
they
the
go in
knot
the
and the
burrow.
knot.
Right. And then they go in the burrow. The 2 bunny ears, and you go in the burrow. Right. And so that's
Cross
how.
them.
That's how.
You get like practice tying your shoe right now.
I'm
And
trying
do
to
the 2
imagine
bunny
how I'm
ears.
doing it.
You have the 2 bunny ears, and then
'Cause
you
I don't
cross
do
them.
two. I
You
don't-
run through the burrow.
I don't
You
do two.
tie.
Yeah,
I
start
do. I
with
do one.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you
And
do
then
your
you wrap
knot.
it around.
yeah.
Yep.
And then
So
And
you
then
do your
flip it
knot.
through.
Yeah.
No, that's not how you do yours.
No, I do the 2.
You do the 2.
So
don't.
I do the knot and the knot.
So how do you do the 2?
You do the two
Well,
bunny
you
ears.
just like you take your laces and then you make 2 loops and then you wrap
Cross
it
them.
around and then you
Run
take the bottom one, you pull it out and it makes a cute little bow.
Yeah. So 2 bunny ears, you cross over, run
So
through the
they
barrel,
essentially
tie.
skip the whole first
The
cross.
first knot.
So
Like
have we been
crossing.
tying our laces wrong? the whole
No,
time?
no.
Well,
Okay.
no, like
Works for
they're
me.
different ways.
I don't think it's wrong. It works.
I like,
Okay.
I like,
Okay. So.
she legit took off her damn shoe.
Okay, so the 2
Yeah,
bunny ears.
See, they skip that
So
whole
yeah,
first.
you fist that, and then you like run through the barrel.
So then, like, yeah,
And
it
it's-
doesn't. It doesn't.
So you're loose though.
Right.
But then you can do the first knot,
That's why they double knot. I don't double knot my shit.
and then you do,
Double knot.
See, that's my.
and then
You
the.
don't double knot.
So wait,
So
stop.
it's like way
Look.
loose.
So then you do your 2 bunny ears.
Okay. Yes. Oh, see that she does the bunny
Nope.
ears.
Nope, I still don't do that.
I don't either.
Nope.
Okay,
Just do
and
the
then you
one.
have your bow, like she's talking about.
Nope.
Okay,
I don't
but the
do
way
that.
we do it, how the fuck did we get to shoe tying right now? The way we do it, you do your knot, bunny
Talk
ear,
about cognitive functions and time.
turn over, run through the barrel. Knot.
I don't do that. I just do the one.
What do you mean the one?
So you literally just fucking. Let me see your shoe, dog. so you literally do this, and then you just take the one,
That's what I just did.
and then boom.
That's what I.
That's what she did the second time.
Yeah, that's what she did.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah,
like,
she did that.
I was just
She
so
did that.
confused.
Why do your
There's so many
knots look like that?
processes.
Why are you like
Because he never ties his shoes.
you're like opposites?
No, Anthony got the cork one so you didn't have to tie your shoes.
No, see.
Oh, so
no,
you're actually
the reason.
never mind.
No, the reason I do this because boom, you can just pull done.
Yeah, but look, if the way you do it, like the way that I normally do it.
I was like, I just pull both of them and then it's untied.
You pull both of them?
I mean, why not? It makes the process faster.
I just pull one. I just pull one.
Do you pull like the ends or do you pull the bunny ears?
No, like you grab the ends and then you
ends?
untie.
See,
like
my
that.
my things are going the same. Like they're together, not like.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
See, look, when I first taught myself how to tie, I literally started like this. I did this, except I just shoved all the rest through until there was nothing. And I just wrapped them around.
Yeah. It was like a maze.
Yeah.
So
Like,
every
look,
time
I
I
did
saw
it.
his shoes, I was like, what is going on here? So I'd always have to constantly be like relacing his shoes to make him even. Like.
That's how I first taught myself how to tie.
Yeah. So. I know.
Michaela, show us the bunny ears. Show us the bunny ears because.
Well, I just did the bunny ears.
But she said she doesn't do the knot.
What?
She doesn't do the first knot.
Well, I
No,
know
she
double
literally
knot.
just does the thing.
Oh, okay. So you double knot.
So she grabs them.
Okay,
Does it
this
like
is
that,
Michaela.
and then does
This is this is Anthony's other half. She's amazing. Okay.
See, she does the first knot.
Okay.
Just double knot.
I
Or
just
not like
fucking
double
did
knot,
that.
But like. That's how I tie my shoes.
Okay.
But then, how do you untie them?
I just grab these and go like this. And then I'll like, with my foot, go like this so it comes off easy.
So you don't have to do that. Keep doing that first knot. You just have to tie
Oh,
it.
and then oh.
You keep burping in my face. I swear to God, I'm gonna punch you in your
I
jugular.
just pull it down. What the fuck? Damn.
Okay, so the whole reason for shoe tying,
Okay, wait. So
Is-
is this assertive learning?
because
Assertive learning.
No,
Where do you keep getting
it is
this name from?
Associative. Fuck.
You really
This
stuck
is-
on that assertive.
Yes. I'm gonna go and fucking take a nap after this. I swear. Okay.
it's about the transfer of knowledge, right? So
Watch
me
out.
me teaching you how to tie your shoes, or the teacher teaching you how to tie your shoes, or Michaela teaching the viewers how to a new way of tying their shoes. Huh? I know. She's been fucking with some shit lately. It's been real destructive.
So
in
this
her
is
life.
learning new ways.
Yes.
I haven't petted her
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So pimping.
Oh my fucking life.
Okay, so this is what they do in Grey's Anatomy, I think. Okay, so pimping is a pedagogical technique, I'm not sure what the word is, common in healthcare education settings, whereby senior clinicians ask junior colleagues a series of challenging questions in a public format. These pimping exercises induce a variety of emotions, including humiliation, embarrassment, excitement, and anxiety, and educators have theorized that these emotional states promote learning during the pimping experience.
Yes.
They do that in Grey's Anatomy.
Yes. 100% because well, you have your interns,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have your residents,
Mm-hmm.
and then the residents are teaching the interns, and you have to like basically get them ready for their boards,
Okay.
and then like you have to like get them to do like challenges in order to get like that first surgery of their internship. So yeah, I can fucking smell your burp.
I did, bro.
That's been a while.
Damn, bro.
I
You're
know, damn,
just
she's
mad.
just coming at you.
Did you get a
Dang.
pizza?
I had Taco Bell.
Yeah.
So close. So close.
Was it a pizza from Taco Bell?
No.
Was it a burrito or was it a quesadilla?
It was a chicken quesadilla and flatbread.
Yep. See, that's pizza and flatbread.
2 p.m.
All right. So.
Motherfucking lunchtime. That's what I'm saying.
So, people tend to learn better in this way, is what they are theorizing.
Yes.
Is when you're in those, like, common situations. We learn a lot by having these conversations. I love that these conversations are now recorded, because this is how all of our conversations go.
I sit here like I'm fucking retarded, and then I get told that I'm retarded. It's kind of really
I
fucking.
just tell you don't do enough research.
Yeah, reading.
Continue
Reading
to
is
tell you, hey, yo, you
I
should
can't
probably look
read.
this stuff up.
You can read.
You know, there's a voice to chat thing. Like, you could highlight something and it'll read it to you.
There's audiobooks.
Yeah.
We've learned that doesn't go well.
We have to color, but there's audiobooks and stuff like that. But that's why we're having these conversations. It's because we want to educate the people on what studies are saying.
I'm the guinea pig.
I listen to neuroscience podcasts while playing video games.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm not that.
I
I mean,
can't
like,
do that.
I listen to podcasts. I listen to, like, Jay Shetty and Diary of a CEO, and all of these other things are, like, things. So going back to the last discussion that I wanted to have really quick before we close up is the teen studies, right? So in talking about all of these emotions, one of the studies that I think I was talking to you about
What?
about teen brain science and how it's very different than, like, adult brain science. So the teen brain science, and this is what I've done with you guys, is we're talking about cold decision making, right?
Cold?
Versus hot decision making,
Fuck is
right? So cold decision making is when you talk about
Like super fast.
these experiences before they happen, right? So I started having conversations with you guys when you guys were like 9, right? About like your behavior at parties and what happens at parties and watching your drinks and
Walking next to dogs.
yes, and you know, like watching your drink and
Yeah, like how to like prevent them biting you and like don't touch other people's dogs. Like you're supposed to ask to pet a dog.
right,
I
dog
never
rolls.
did that.
Dog
Yes,
rolls?
you did. We literally did it on a walk. I literally remember walking down a block in Laramie. Us
In
talking
Laramie.
about this.
Mhm.
I literally go up to every dog I find now. Like, I'm
Well,
just
that's
like,
different now because I
"Hi."
do the same.
Hi, puppies.
But do you ask?
No, I'm
That's
just
a rule.
like, oh, hi, puppies, and I just pet.
But we have had those like
I'm gonna
experiences.
laugh when
like,
they bend.
I already have. Remember that
Yeah.
German Shepherd down the road
Oh.
that you used to always get at? Remember I came home and there was bite
Yeah.
marks on my head.
Addie.
Yeah. That was the one that jumped out your window because Boo was trying to kill him.
That was the one that
Yeah.
killed Fathead.
No,
No,
I'm pretty sure that
was an
fucking
eagle.
Yeah.
That was an eagle.
I don't think so.
I think so.
Maybe it's just a grudge against him, but
Yeah, I think that was an eagle.
Anyways,
Anyways,
yeah.
so those cold decisions are having those discussions before those actions come into play,
Damn, bro, this gonna be a bitch.
right? Like, focus.
Sorry.
we've all checked out except you.
No.
Go ahead.
I just know this stuff. What's your excuse?
I checked out. Cold behaviors is learning situations before the situation
Calling
happens.
me if you're drunk and you need a ride home,
I've done that one.
right? You know, versus those hot behaviors where you're sending a teenager into those situations without having those discussions. They don't know what to do.
Sending them into the fucking wolves.
And they usually make the wrong decisions, and then the parents are mad,
yeah.
right? Oh my God, like, why didn't you know this? Did you have those conversations with them before? How did you think they were supposed to know these things? Right? So this is kind of the same thing. If you understand how to go into these situations.
Can you not burp in my face?
Are you so serious right now? I literally straight even turned my head so you wouldn't say something fucking stupid. I'm gonna punch you straight in your jugular, I swear.
Oh, man.
You know, so knowing what to do in those situations before you go into those situations takes the emotion out of those situations.
You say situations one more time, dude. That was a lot.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So circling back to the quote.
Hold on, I need to read that fucking
So the quote is, "Indeed, but when you look deeper, you will see that
Oh
though
my
chaos and love are both powerful and alluring, they are also as different as moonlight is from sunlight."
Yo, I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief. I don't think that that's what our discussion was about.
It was. Because the chaos of your emotions going crazy.
I think we learned more about the brain, just like neuroscience ways and anger wise, than we did about love and chaos.
That's because you guys took the conversation and ran with it in a totally different way.
Listen, man, it was fascinating. Okay.
But the anger.
I feel like
also,
this is not brain
But we did talk about the anger going through.
Wait.
Stuff.
But we also did talk about how the paramedics act differently.
Grandma.
Grandma.
I hate my grandma. Act differently when a loved one is in there.
Right, that's
because
chaos.
that is chaos.
Chaos. And when love is mixed into it, it gets fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, we did talk about this. What are you doing?
Okay, so
Figure it out, dude.
I think I'm still gonna go with my original saying.
Yeah,
I
I
think
still-
it's just worded weirdly.
Yeah.
I think so too.
But yes,
Yeah.
I
And I think they're both alluring. You know, they're both really magnetic.
I
You know,
approve of this message.
you want to
Shut the fuck up.
you want to drive by and look at the wreck that happened on the side of the road, right?
Yo, who died?
You want to know the drama that's happening in everybody's lives, right?
Wow.
Because it's a train wreck, right?
It's not your own. You gotta deal with it.
Yeah. Whereas love is calm, right? When you take the emotions out of that.
Anthony said.
It's calm.
It should be.
It should be.
But not always.
Tell me Michaela doesn't really put your ass in check.
Exactly. How is that calm?
Yeah, that's not
Because it's calm afterwards, because then it's all settled. It's
Right.
done.
But it's chaos before. While he's getting his ass whooped, it's chaos.
Not that he's abused at home.
No. It's very much love. He just makes stupid decisions and decides to be retarded.
You know,
And
but
says stupid shit.
then afterwards it's calm. It's done. It's set. It's over. It's the safe place again.
Yeah.
It's the one place where you get to be a mess and still be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, that being said, we are going to wrap up. So, thank you for Justin for being a sponsor.
Yeah.
Justin Bragg, thank you for joining us for this episode. I know it was a crazy long episode, and there was a lot of things discussed. So,
I got that right.
it wasn't that bad of a discussion.
I need food and then.
This
actually
was,
really fascinating.
I know,
It's really
I know.
good.
There was a lot of things that were discussed in here that I'm like totally in awe about. Like I'm
You're
totally
gonna
gonna
learn
check your
the
notes.
multi-dimensions.
Yeah, we're gonna have lots of things to post about. Lots of crazy things to post about. But before people see this episode and they see the post, they're gonna be like, "What exactly did they talk about in the episode?"
Put on like Einstein's
It's
theory,
called-
relativity, boson particles, and fucking.
Right.
It's called clickbait.
You could just
It's
put
not
a hypercube.
clickbait.
I really want to get one, dude.
Hypercube?
Hypercubes?
I'm gonna
Oh my
look that up because I
God.
don't know what that is.
I want to get one, but they're like $600
Oh my god.
for a fucking cube.
Dude,
that just
you are
sits on
so
the desk.
bougie.
It
You're
literally,
so
it's a lamp.
bougie.
It's a lamp.
Anyways,
Doses.
join us for another discussion later. Next week, we are going to be talking about There's Always Time for Wisdom.
Oh my fucking god.
Can't wait to see
I'm
it.
over I'm over it!
Jesus. All right, so any questions, comments, concerns, email or message on YouTube or any of our social medias. All of our social medias can be found at Smile Girl Don't Be Nervous. Our email is smilegirldon'tbenervous@gmail.com.
I thought you were going to. I was like,
at gmail.com. Reach out to us. Let us know what you thought about this conversation. Mama checked out.
deuces.
Thanks for coming, guys. We love you. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.